Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Deving Sarasating Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Tang Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Sitaram, I was wondering whether you know how to cook.
Very well.
So then you are fit to start your center in South Africa.
I can cook.
Yeah.
I used to cook for the devotees in one of the temples in Cape Town.
Yes, sir.
He told me to cook.
He taught you how to cook. I was about to say that he should learn from you.
It was the other way around.
So you're all well equipped. So, okay, I'm going to ask the usual question. How many of you memorized the verse today? Very good. Okay. What happened, Shama? You didn't? Then why did your hand go down? Okay, Brajikishore.
yathā mahānti bhūtāni bhūteṣu yathā mahānti bhūtāni bhūteṣūccāvaceṣv praviṣṭāny apraviṣṭāni tathā teṣu aham.
Very good. And from the ladies' side, who will say it? Oh, Radhika. Okay. We all will recite after Radhika. Very good. But I think you are looking at something. Okay. Okay, that's good. Very good. Karthik?
Yathā bhūtāni bhūteṣūccāvaceṣv praviṣṭāny
Tathā
teṣu aham.
Very good. Thank you. So the translation of this verse is, O Brahmā, please know that the universal elements enter into the cosmos and at the same time do not enter into the cosmos. Similarly, I myself also exist within everything created, and at the same time I am outside of everything. Please repeat after me. O Brahmā, please know that the universal elements enter into the cosmos and at the same time do not enter into the cosmos. Similarly, I myself also exist within everything created, and at the same time I am outside of everything. Very good. Yathā mahānti bhūtāni. Yesterday, at the beginning of the class, I made a mistake. I was considering that the mahānti bhūtāni was actually the Mahatattva, but in the purport, Prabhupada actually clarified that this mahānti bhūtāni of the material creation are actually 5 elements, pancha mahabhut, and which is correct actually. Mahānti bhūtāni means mahabhut. Pancha mahabhut, they are earth, water, fire, air and ether. So they all enter into the body of all manifested entities. So these 5 elements are entering into all the manifested entities, and yet at the same time these elements are differently situated. So we'll continue from the purport that we studied yesterday. I went up to this verse from Brahma Samhita. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena santas sadaiva hridayeṣu vilokayanti jang shyama sundaram achinta gunaswarupam govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami. I worship the original personality of Godhead Govinda, whom the pure devotees, their eyes smeared with the ointment of love of Godhead, always observe within their hearts. This Govinda, the original personality of Godhead, is Shyam Sundar with all transcendental qualities. Jang Shyama Sundaram Achinta Gunaswarupam. So therefore, although He is present in every atom, the Supreme Personality of Godhead may not be visible to the dry speculators. Still, the mystery is unfolded before the eyes of the pure devotees, because their eyes are anointed with love of Godhead. So what is the basic qualification to see the Lord? Love. We have to see Him with our eyes anointed with love. Anointed with love means the eyes are affected by the love of the heart. When the heart is full of love for Krishna, then how do we see Him? In this respect, an example is given. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was seeing Krishna, Jagannath. Now this form of Jagannath, what is this form? This form of Jagannath is quite, apparently appears to be an incomplete form, incomplete carved figure. But tears used to come from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's eyes, like an incessant flow of river. Sometimes it used to just spring forth like water out of the syringe. When you press a syringe, how does the water go? So similarly, water used to come out of Mahaprabhu's eyes like that. Now what was Mahaprabhu seeing? With the mundane eyes, it's a form that is not even complete. The nose, mouth, they are not complete. Hands, they are kind of incomplete form. But what was Mahaprabhu seeing? What Mahaprabhu was seeing, only Mahaprabhu could know. It is impossible for us to understand that. But actually we can at least understand that Mahaprabhu is seeing Krishna in Kurukshetra, seeing the residents of Vrindavan after 100 years of separation. And that is Krishna, Jagannath. This form is the form Krishna transformed with his emotion. When we get emotion, when we experience emotion, our forms do not change. Our forms do not change, but our expression may change. Like when you are happy, what happens? Your expression in the face becomes in a certain way. When you are sad, your expressions are in some other way. In this way, the facial expressions change with us. When you are angry, your facial expression takes certain form, certain shape. When you're disgusted, don't the facial expressions change according to happiness, sadness, disgust, fear? Isn't it? Natya Shastra, there is a Shastra that deals with Nataka, drama, and that teaches extensively to show your expressions. Like also Indian dances, especially a dance like Kathakali, South African, South Indian dance, Kathakali, and also Bharatnatyam. Through your expressions, you show your emotions. So in this way, our emotions affect our features. But at the same time, our feature, our material form is kind of rigid form. It doesn't, but Krishna's form is transcendental form. The way Krishna feels his emotions, accordingly his forms also changes. When Krishna feels anger, what happens? What happens to his form? When Krishna gets angry? Nrishingadev. When Krishna becomes angry, that's how he becomes. According to his emotion, his form changes. When Krishna decides to cheat and becomes very humble, what happens to Krishna? He becomes Bhamandev. Very humble. Very small body, very humble, Vamana. But he came to cheat. Krishna has another angry form. What is that form? Parasura. So, according to his emotion, his forms change. Similarly, when Krishna feels intense separation from his devotees, what happens? That is Jagannath. Krishna's feeling of separation makes his form change. So that is how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was seeing Krishna. In his eyes it was not an incomplete form. In his eyes it was Krishna feeling this separation from Radharani. And because he came in the mood of Srimati Radharani, he is so affected by Krishna's Jagannath form. So for us to see Krishna, the qualification is love. If we love Krishna, we'll be able to see him. If we don't love him, we won't be able to see him. We won't even be able to understand him, who he is. So that is why this love, the bhakti, is the most important consideration for spiritual advancement. And this love of Godhead can be attained only by the practice of transcendental loving service of the Lord and nothing else. The vision of the devotees is not ordinary. It is purified by the process of devotional service. In other words, as the universal elements are both within and without, similarly, the Lord's name, form, quality, pastimes, entourage, etc., as they are described in the revealed scriptures or as performed in the Vaikuntha Lokas, far, far beyond the material cosmic manifestation, are factually being televised in the heart of the devotees. So, through television, can you see what is happening in a remote place, a distant place? Like sitting in, nowadays, sitting in Ujjain, one can watch what is happening in New York City. Through television, is it possible? Now, if through television it is possible to see the happenings of a distant place, then why cannot a devotee see Krishna's pastimes the way it is going on in the spiritual sky? And that's what actually happens to devotees. What is happening in the spiritual sky is televised in the heart of the devotees. And he sees bhakti vilochanena santa sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti. Santa means a devotee of the Lord. Sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti, sees the pastimes of the Lord in their hearts. So Prabhupada is giving the example, just as through television we can see the distant happenings, similarly through devotion we can see the Vaikuntha happening, spiritual sky, what is happening in the spiritual sky, what is happening in Vrindavan. The man with a poor fund of knowledge cannot understand, although by material science one can see things far away by means of television. Factually, the spiritually developed person is able to have the television of the kingdom of God always reflected within his heart. That is the mystery of knowledge of the personality of Godhead. The Lord can award anyone and everyone liberation. Mukti from the bondage of material existence, yet he really awards the privilege of love of Godhead as confirmed by Narada. Mukti dadati karhichit sma na bhakti yogam. Mukti dadati karhichit sma na bhakti yogam. The transcendental devotional service of the Lord is so wonderful that the occupation keeps the deserving candidate always wrapped in psychological activities without deviation from the absolute touch. Thus, love of Godhead develops in the heart of the devotees is a great mystery. Brahmāji previously told Narada that the desires of Brahmāji are never unfulfilled because he is always absorbed in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Nor has he any desire in his heart. Any desire in his heart, save and accept the transcendental service of the Lord. So devotee doesn't have any other desire but to serve the Lord, the service to the Lord, and a devotee's desire is never unfulfilled. Devotee simply wants to serve Krishna, and by Krishna's mercy, his devotional service is executed by the devotees. That is the beauty and mystery of the process of Bhakti Yoga. As the Lord's desire is infallible because he is achyuta, similarly the desires of the devotees in the transcendental service of the Lord are also achyuta. This is very difficult, however, for the layman to understand without knowledge of the mystery of devotional service, as it is very difficult to know the potency of a touchstone. As touchstone is rarely found, a pure devotee of the Lord is also rarely to be seen, even amongst millions and trillions of souls, kotishapi mahamune. Out of all the kinds of perfections attained by the process of knowledge, yoga perfection in devotional service is the highest of all, and the most mysterious also, even more mysterious than the light, more mysterious than the 8 kinds of mystic perfection attained by the process of yogic performance. So out of all kinds of perfections attained by the process of knowledge, yoga perfection in devotional service is the highest of all, and the most mysterious also, even more mysterious than the 8 kinds of mystic perfections attained by the process of yoga performances. So, did you all understand this statement? Of all kinds of activities, which is the highest? Bhakti is the highest. And it is the most mysterious also. It's even more mysterious than the Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga Yoga, what are the siddhis? What are the perfections attained by Ashtanga Yoga? One can have mystic power, unusual powers. Like, it is quite a common thing in India that we come across people who are mystic yogis. When I was young, I came across some people like that. Like one yoga performance I saw. It was performed by, I was very little, I was quite young at that time. A yogi came and he gave a perfect performance in the school, in our school. Like, one thing he showed is he sat down in lotus posture and he held his hands like this. And he asked some strong, very strong people to come and lift him. And they tried. They just couldn't lift him. Big, athletic people came, students, big-bodied people. I remember there was one boy who was a discus thrower. He was a discus thrower champion. Another one was a javelin thrower. Another one was a wrestler. So all these big guys came, could lift him. Then he called 2 little boys like Karthik. And at that time actually he held his hands like this. And he asked those 2 boys to hold two elbows. And they lifted him up very easily. And they all went around the hall with him, walked around the hall. He was so light that even 2 boys could just carry him like that all over the hall. So this is, I've seen with my own eyes. Another time I remember, I just came to, I was going to some place, came out and I was standing in the bus stand. Then all of a sudden I came to the bus stand and I saw, bus stand means in the street corner, in Calcutta there is a park called Deshapuriya Park and it was just opposite to that. And I saw that there were big crowds. Out of curiosity I went out and I saw the 2 legs are sticking out. And it was, from the size of the leg and shape of the leg, you can see that they are just that was the legs of the two legs of one young boy. what he did, a hole was dug and half of his body, up to his waist, was buried, head down. And just two legs were sticking out and people were watching. Anyway, I was not really that impressed. So, and after a few hours, when I came back, I found the same crowd. I found that the place was very crowded, and I found that the boy was still under the earth. For hours together, he was buried, his head down, legs sticking out. Like, Another time, something happened to my cousin. One person came, one sadhu came, begging. Just in Calcutta, you come across people like that. And he asked her to get something. So, and she closed her hand, and so he asked her to open her hand, and she found that whatever she was holding, maybe it was a coin that she came to give that woman. And so he asked her to close her hands. And so when she opened her, and then he asked her to open her hand, and when she opened her hand, she found there was a flower. In her own hand, that coin has turned into flower. And Prabhupada said also that when he was young, he saw that one yogi came to the house and he stretched his hand and swung it on the thing, and there was a pomegranate. Now those days pomegranates were not very common in India. Nowadays, of course, they are growing pomegranates in different parts of India. Those days, pomegranates used to come from Afghanistan. And there was a fresh pomegranate. Now, where did it come from? He picked a pomegranate from Afghanistan. Like, this kind of mystic powers are quite common in India. We see people with all kinds of mystic power, displaying all the mystic powers in this way. But these are compared to the actual mystic powers that the yogis achieve, and these are quite insignificant. You know what a yogi can do? A yogi can become so small that he can just enter into a room under the closed door, or through the keyhole. He becomes so small that through the keyhole he enters into the room. Or he becomes so heavy or so big that heaviness we saw, and also becoming light, also another thing. They can become so light that they can fly, they can float in the air. Another mystic power we saw in Hanuman. Now, with a Hanuman, it was not mystic power, jumping across the ocean. Hanuman was Hanuman was not a mystic yogi. Hanuman was just a devotee. So we can see that the devotional display of devotional perfection or bhakti yoga siddhis are even more amazing than the Ashtanga yoga siddhis. Like there is a story about Rasikananda Prabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's next generation from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were three stalwart acharyas, Srinivas Acharya, Narottam Das Thakur and Shyamananda Prabhu. Shyamananda Prabhu had a very illustrious disciple. His name was Rasikananda Prabhu. Rasikananda Prabhu, one morning when Rasikananda Prabhu was brushing his teeth, in India those days people used to brush teeth with neem twigs. And naturally they used to brush their teeth not inside the bathroom or in the room. They would sit by the pond and brush their teeth. So Rashikananda Prabhu was brushing his teeth and somebody came and told him that a yogi came riding on a tiger. And the night before, the day before, a yogi came to the village riding on a tiger. So Rashikananda Prabhu said, "Oh, let me go and see him." And with saying that, he just went flying with the stone that he was sitting on the stone went flying to see that yogi. Sitting on that stone, he went flying. And that yogi who came riding on a tiger, he became his disciple after that. So, these kind of mystic powers are very common in India. But the thing is, the point that I'm making is that the mystic power that a devotee displays is very, very unusual, very amazing and very mysterious. I didn't see this anecdote, I didn't see this incident, but I heard that once one magician came to Vrindavan and he was showing some magics to Prabhupada. He came and he was showing some magics to Prabhupada. And devotees were getting very angry actually, the way he was doing things. Like he would touch Prabhupada's head and hold his hand near Prabhupada's mouth and asked him to Prabhupada to open his mouth, and some coin came out of Prabhupada's mouth. Things like that he was doing. He was doing all kinds of things and making Prabhupada the object, and the devotees naturally were very upset. They were getting very angry. Then Prabhupada said, I also have some mystic power. I also know some magic. He said, I can stop birth, death, old age and disease. He said, can you do that? And he said, no, I can't. And then the devotees became very excited. I noticed sometimes some people would say something or do something to Srila Prabhupada, would get very, very upset. But then Prabhupada, as if Prabhupada knew what was going on in our hearts, and then Prabhupada would do something that would smash that person completely. Like I remember once, Prabhupada, he was one Vaishnava, Gauriya Vaishnava. He came to see Srila Prabhupada in Vrindavan. So Prabhupada, when people used to come, Prabhupada used to show his books. So one book just came out, probably it was the 10th canto, the first volume. And Prabhupada, Prabhupada showed him that this is the books, and the paintings are done by the devotees, and this is how his books are being printed. So, this man, I could see he was so envious that he was not really appreciating that, like this wonderful presentation of Srimad Bhagavatam that is actually revolutionizing the West. Not only the West, the whole world. And the person, at some point he just said, but where is the Annvay? Now Annvay is a general thing that is done, like, you can say Annvay is a word-for-word translation. Anna is a word-for-word translation. But in Sanskrit, verses what actually happens is the shlokas are in poetry. So in poetry, what you do is you can take something at the beginning and before and after, like the structure, the grammatical structure, the way it is, there should be a subject at first and then predicate and so forth. So it is kind of putting it like say for example, So here, like Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. The Anvay will be Aham Govindam Adipurusham Bhajami. The Aham will come first because that is the subject. But here, because it's in a prose form, it is Govindam Adipurusham Tam Aham Bhajami. But the general grammatical structure will be, the subject will be first. Aham Adipurusham Govindam Bhajami. Aham Adipurusham Govindam Bhajami. But the poetry will be Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. So that is the kind of anvay. Like, make the structure straight and simple. Now, in English, what's the use of doing that? Prabhupada is translating into English. And I was thinking, I was burning inside. I was thinking, don't you see the word-for-word translation? The what is anvay in Sanskrit is the word-for-word translation. But in front of Prabhupada, I could not actually insult his godbrother. So I just kept quiet, but I was burning inside. But then Prabhupada was listening, he was not saying anything. And I was thinking, why Prabhupada doesn't say something? Then, because probably that person doesn't even know English. That's why he couldn't figure out what was word-for-word translation. But anyway, then just Prabhupada told him, why don't you do something to spread Krishna consciousness? And I felt, that's it. And Prabhupada went on. He said, Guru Maharaj gave his whole life to spread Krishna consciousness. That's what he wanted everyone. That's why he created Gaudiya Math. But what have you done? And like the more Prabhupada got on his case, the more I became excited. So this is how I could see that Prabhupada used to know how we used to feel, and accordingly Prabhupada would respond sometimes. Anyway, so a touchstone is rarely found. A pure devotee of the Lord is also rarely to be seen, even amongst millions of liberated souls. Out of all kinds of perfections attained by the process of knowledge, yoga perfection in devotional service is the highest of all, and the most mysterious also, even more mysterious than the 8 kinds of mystic perfections attained by the process of yogic performances. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord therefore advised Arjuna about this Bhakti Yoga. Sarva gujya tamang bhuya shrinu me paramang vachaha. Just hear from me again about the most confidential part of this instructions in Bhagavad Gita. The same was confirmed by Brahmaji to Narad in the following words. Idam Bhagavatam nama janme bhagavatoditam sangraho ayam vibhutinam tvam etad vipuli guru. Brahmaji said to Narad, whatever I have spoken to you about the Bhagavatam was explained to me by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and I am advising you to expand these topics nicely so that people may easily understand the mysterious Bhakti Yoga by transcendental loving service to God. Expand. So here also we can see that Krishna is giving Brahmaji Bhagavatam in these 4 verses, and Brahma expanded. Similarly, Narad Muni gave the essence of Bhagavatam to Vasudev, and Vasudev expanded. So that is the objective of Bhagavatam. Expand it, whatever we are getting. Now we got them. Bhagavatam has been further expanded by Srila Prabhupada. To us, Prabhupada's Srimad Bhagavatam with its purport are the Bhagavatam to us. And this is unlimited, and we can expand that further and further for the benefit of mankind. Because by understanding, by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and by understanding Srimad Bhagavatam, one becomes a devotee. That is the purpose of Srimad Bhagavatam. To glorify the Lord and induce people to become devotees of the Lord. It is to be noted here that the mystery of Bhakti Yoga was disclosed to Brahmaji by the Lord himself. Brahmaji explained the same mystery to Narad. Narad explained it to Vasudev. Vasudev explained it to Sukadeva Goswami, and the same knowledge is coming down in the unalloyed chain of disciplic succession. If one is fortunate enough to have received the knowledge in the transcendental disciplic succession, surely he will have the chance to understand the mystery of the Lord and that of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the sound incarnation of the Lord. So this Srimad Bhagavatam is an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of sound. Just as the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the sound incarnation of Krishna, Srimad Bhagavatam also is the sound incarnation of Krishna. The deities in the temple are what? They are the earth incarnation of Krishna. Krishna incarnates himself through earth or solid substance. Similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam is the sound incarnation of the Supreme Personality of God. Now, how do we worship the sound incarnation of the Lord? How do we? By hearing and chanting. By hearing and chanting. So, let us, just as mahānti bhūtāni, pancha mahabhūts, earth, water, fire, air, ether, of this material nature, bhūteṣūccāvaceṣv, they have entered bhūteṣu, ucca-avaceṣu. Ucca-avaceṣu, ucca means highest to the lowest, to the greatest to the minutest. Just as these five elements enters into the ocean, the great ocean, or a great mountain, and yet at the same time they are also in a minute atom. And although they have entered into the objects, but still enters into the great or small material objects, yet they are outside them. Similarly, Krishna, although he enters into everything, yet he is not in them. That is Krishna's yoga aishwarya. Pasya me yogaishwaram. Yogaishwaryam. This is Krishna's mystic opulence. So, thank you very much. Does anybody have any question? Yeah, seems Krishna. Krishna, tell me.
Source of the energy of this majestic powers. From where we get this energy?
From
we
God.
get from this inside?
From
or
Krishna.
is from outside?
From Krishna.
From inside?
From Krishna. From Krishna. Not from you. Not from your inside. It is everything is coming from Krishna. You also came from Krishna.
We are not separated from Krishna.
You are separate, but at the same time you are not separate. When you are separated, then you are in the material nature. When you are not separated, you are in the spiritual world.
So there is no way out to separate ourselves from the Krishna.
You are separated already. That's why you are suffering. Isn't it? How are you situated in this material nature?
It is very difficult to separate ourselves from the Krishna. We always in the Krishna.
How are you now?
Existence proves that we are in the Krishna.
Yeah.
Without Krishna existence, how we can exist?
Yes, but do you realize that?
It is a fact.
Huh?
This is a fact. Nobody can ignore it. It is a universal fact.
Yeah, but still you are. But what are you doing for Krishna? Are you doing anything for Krishna? So, you to be connected to Krishna, how do you become connected to Krishna? Like, how do you become connected to your father? How do you become connected to your father? Through service, don't you? Like you have your, do you have your father? Do you have, your father is still alive?
No.
No. Okay. When your father was alive, was he with you? Living with you? No, you are separate. So you are separated from your father. But if the father was with you and you were serving him, then you would have been connected to your father, isn't it? Do you have a son?
Yes.
You have a son. Now, is the son living with you?
Yes.
He's living with you. Does he serve you? Sometimes. Okay, when he serves, through his service, when he takes care of you, he is connected to you. Right? But sometimes some sons go away. Then the father and son don't have any relationship. Right? Similarly, with Krishna, when it is through service, we actually become connected to somebody. Like, what do you do? By occupation, what do you do? You are in business. You are in business. So in business, you are connected to your client, right? Okay. Now, how are you connected to your clients? By you do something for your client, and that's how you connected, right? You have a relationship. And your client also, he pays you, and that's why you do something for him. So that is what causes the connection. Service. You serve your client serves you, right? You supply the material to your client, and the client pays you money. So in this way, there is connection. So it is through service that we become connected, right? Now, if we serve Krishna, then we are connected to him. Then we become connected to him. When you don't serve Krishna, then you become separated from him. And that connection is through that service attitude to Krishna or to anybody who is close to us is through love. Like, say for example, your client and you have a relationship because of money. It's not out of love. Your client pays you money and you supply him the goods. But your relationship with your wife, is there any monetary transaction? No. But your wife serves you, right? And you also take care of her. Why do you do that? Because of your love. Because of love. So, ultimate consideration of service is love. So similarly, with Krishna also we can develop, relationship. Sometimes people ask Krishna, give me this, give me that. And through that, they develop their relationship. But that relationship is not very close because it is based on some material transaction. Krishna, मैं आपको 10 रुपया देंगे, आप हमको 1 लाख रुपया देंगे. मैं 10 रुपये का भोग चढ़ाता हूँ और मांगता हूँ कृष्ण आप हमें 1 लाख रुपया दे दीजिए, ये लॉटरी मिला दीजिए. तो ये जो ट्रांजैक्शन है ये बिजनेस ट्रांजैक्शन है भगवान के साथ. बल्कि सही ट्रांजैक्शन जो होता है वो प्यार का ट्रांजैक्शन है. और भगवान के प्रति वो जो प्रेम है वो है भक्ति. तो भक्ति के द्वारा ही केवल भगवान के साथ संपर्क बनते. जैसे आप देखिए अर्जुन का साथ भगवान का संपर्क था, बल्कि दुर्योधन का साथ कोई संपर्क नहीं था. क्यों? क्योंकि अर्जुन भगवान को प्यार करते थे, युधिष्ठिर, भीम, ये सब भगवान को प्यार करते थे, द्रौपदी भगवान को प्यार करते थे, बल्कि दुर्योधन, दुशासन, ये सब भगवान को विद्वेष करते थे, इसलिए उनके साथ भगवान का संपर्क नहीं था. They didn't have any relationship with Krishna, but Arjun had a relationship. Hanuman had a relationship with Ramchandra. Ramchandra and was not paying money to Hanuman, right? It was out of love for Ramchandra that Hanuman was prepared to turn this whole world upside down, right? सारा लंका जला दिया. क्यों? रामचंद्र के प्रति उसका प्रेम के कारण. अपने जीवन का परवाह नहीं किया, सागर लंघन किया. बल्कि रावण था क्या उसका संपर्क. यद्यपि जो आप कह रहे हैं वो सही है कि भगवान का कृपा बिना हम तो एक पल भी जीना नहीं सकते. भगवान अगर ऑक्सीजन सप्लाई खत्म कर देंगे, बंद कर देंगे, तो कब हम क्या जी सकेंगे? खाना अगर नहीं देंगे तो जी सकेंगे? हाँ, भगवान देख रहे हैं. ऐसे देखिए, पिता पुत्र पिता को छोड़कर जा सकता है, बल्कि पिता कभी पुत्र को नहीं भूलते. पुत्र पिता के छोड़कर चला गया, बल्कि फिर भी पिता ने उसको सारे खर्चा सप्लाई कर रहे हैं. तो ये है पिता पुत्र का जैसा संपर्क. पुत्र भगवान को, पुत्र पिता को भूल सकता है, बल्कि पिता नहीं भूलते. हम भगवान को भूल सकते हैं, बल्कि भगवान हमें छोड़ते नहीं. तो ये संपर्क जो है, ये संपर्क, प्यार का संपर्क जो है, वो दो तरफ का होना चाहिए. इट्स रेसिप्रोकल, राइट? Two persons must love. God is loving us, but if we don't love Him, that relationship is not complete. But when we start to love God, then the relationship becomes complete. आपका नाम क्या है?
विनोद दुबे. विनोद दुबे. विनोद
दुबे. ओ, आप तो ब्राह्मण हैं, आप द्विवेदी हैं, 2 वेद के ज्ञाता हैं. हरे कृष्ण. आते रहे ना मंदिर में. कहाँ रहते हैं आप? वो आप अहमदाबाद में रहते हैं? वो अच्छा, यहाँ क्या घूमने के लिए? लाइफ में आप ये गेस्ट हाउस में ठहरे. बहुत अच्छा, बहुत अच्छा. हरे कृष्ण. वहाँ जाते हैं मंदिर में? जसुमती नंदन प्रभु को पहचानते हैं?
काफी अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं.
अच्छा. हाँ,
रीजनल मैनेजर हैं.
हाँ.
अब थोड़ी बीमार चलते थे, थोड़े दिन अब ठीक हो गया, पैर में प्रॉब्लम.
हाँ, अच्छा.
बहुत अच्छा.
आप यहाँ घूमने के लिए?
हाँ, फर्स्ट टाइम.
अच्छा. महाकाल दर्शन हुआ?
हाँ. वो लिस्ट में नाम नहीं है साधु संस्था, जो लिस्ट आउट होती है.
ये बहुत नया मंदिर बना है, इसलिए पुराना इस्कॉन का जो ये नया, इसमें नया बैक टू गॉडहेड में है.
हाँ, उसमें नाम नहीं है.
बैक टू गॉड. हाँ,
ये यहाँ का जो लोकल लिस्ट की बात कर रहा हूँ,
लोकल ऑल इंडिया वर्ल्ड लेवल की जो लिस्ट है, उसमें नाम नहीं है.
इस क्या बैक टू गॉडहेड, बैक टू गॉडहेड मैगज़ीन, बैक टू गॉडहेड में तो आता है.
इंग्लिश वाली में नहीं है. इंग्लिश वाली लोगों को पता नहीं था कितना बड़ा.
अच्छा, just check it. Check. I have the latest one is also displaying Ujjain. That is an article of Ujjain. You got that magazine? Okay, दुबे जी, विनोद जी, बहुत धन्यवाद. हरे कृष्ण. हरे कृष्ण. So, Hari Bol, Gaur Premanande.